How's it going, everybody? Stavy Jada saying, what is good to all my Super Saiyan homies? Here to bring you all sorts of Dragon Ball content. Today we're going to be doing an equip guide, going over how to get S and Z rank equips, and then we'll also be talking about the new equipment reroll system. So for those of you who already know how to get S and Z rank equips, I'm going to leave a timestamp for you guys to just jump ahead and we can talk about the reroll system. As for everybody else who is looking to learn how to get S and Z equips, let's hop right into it. So if you look right here, I have a pretty much full inventory of Z and S rank equips, and that has pretty much been just from doing this method over the last year. I remember the first time I did this video over when I was just doing Instagram posts and videos. I had a ton of A equips and pretty much like a solid bunch of S equips and then like 1, 2, or 3 Z equips. And now at this point I've got a very solid bunch of Z equips and pretty much everything else is S equips. So how did this come to be? How did this happen? Well, when you guys get a new equip, as you guys are aware, it'll have a few blank slots, and I've actually prepared a few things to let you know. Now, in terms of an E or an F slot, those are always going to be green. I don't have any of those present. I did delete them just because I didn't have room, and I was trying to build up some equips for us to roll together for this video. Now, when we look at a D rank equip, we can see that there are a multitude of things that we can get. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the couple of examples you can get, but I wanted to show you guys that if you get a D rank equip, you can actually get a couple of things. It can be a green slot, which you guys see right here, or it can be a gold slot as well. There are some Ds that are just high enough to constitute being a gold slot, which is really, really nice for when we're going to roll stuff. Because what you're going to want in reality, for the most part, is going to be these gold and red slots. Then why is this? That is because these gold, and specifically the red slots, I'm actually going to look at a gold one first, are pretty much as close to a perfect roll as you can get. As close to that highest number you can get, with reds being higher, and sometimes you can even get an absolutely perfect roll on a red slot. So with that in mind, the higher that initial slot is, the lower the next two slots can be in order to become an S or Z rank equip. And I'll show you a couple of examples of this, because at the end of the day, you can have D rank equips that are green slots turn into Z equips. I have multiple Z equips that have a starting slot that's green. But we'll look at a couple of different examples. So for the first one, this one right here, we have a gold first slot and a red second slot. This allowed for a green third slot to make this still be a Z equip. So there's one of every color and it still managed to be a Z. Next, we have another example where we have one that's a really, really high first slot that ended up allowing for 2 green slots to make this still be a Z. That's because, once again, the first slot being near perfect they didn't need to be as high. And for a final example, what we can also see is for an equip like this, where I had a green first slot that was pretty good. It was off by a little close to 2.5%, but that was still enough that rolling gold slots, rolling 2 almost perfect slots on the last 2 slots, were able to still make this Z equip. So suffice it to say, you can make a D, any D, well, not any D, you can make any C and a good amount of D equips to be a Z or an S at the end of the day. You're just trying to get that initial percent to be as close as possible. Now, this doesn't guarantee anything, it's all RNG at the end of the day, but the whole point of this is to say that the higher that first number is, the better chance you will have when rolling those second 2 slots. So let's do some rolls together real quick. Once again, I've actually prepared some high D equips and some high C equips, and we're gonna do a mix. I'm gonna do one roll of only D equips, only D and greens, and we'll see what happens. And I'm gonna do one roll of only C equips, and then we're gonna do a mix one for the last roll. So let's see what happens real quick. So we'll do 1, 2. I'm gonna do 2 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, we'll do this. Oh wait, no, I want to do that. Okay, those will be the ones that we do first, and we'll see what we get. So they all got up to a B, which is really nice because they do all have solid rolls. They are all within the threshold to become a Z. I did calculate that off camera using legends.dbz.space, which we can actually talk about that once we talk about rerolls in a minute. But as you can see, none of them were able to reach even S rank, and that's just kind of how it crumbles, and we even have a few that didn't even reach A rank. So that's to say that green slots, not always the luckiest way to go. But we're going to leave a few leftovers, because we do have a good amount of C's right now. And now let's hop over to the C's real quick. I'm going to do all the red slots. The red slots are going to be the near perfect slots. I've got 12.8 out of 13 on this one. I've got 9.85 out of 10 on this one. This one, we've got 14.5 out of 15. And lastly, we've got 9.9 out of 10. So I'm going to include those 4, no matter what. And then we will include all of these C equips as well. So let's roll all of these and see what happens. Now, hopefully, at least one of these will be an S, but I will also tell you that RNG is a bit of an SOB sometimes, and more than likely, they're probably going to all roll to be A's. So let's see what happens. So all those first slots ended up being green, so the likelihood of any of these being a Z is probably gone at this point. But now let's look at what happens. Let's see if any of them become at least an S rank. And there you go. We did actually manage to get 2 S-rank equips in this roll. Now, as you can see, both of them actually have 2 green slots on the back end. So this just goes to show that rolling S equips is actually very, very doable if you use this method. In terms of being flashy for Z equips, well, let's talk about rerolls now. So with the change in rerolling of equips, they're essentially trying to reward you from trying to get from one rank to the next. And essentially, it seems as though they're making it's easier to get S ranks from A's. It's easier to get Z ranks from S's. You know, so they're kind of making it so that when you're improving your equipments, it's trying to take you to the next level. It's trying to take you from B to A, from A to S to Z. So with that in mind, I have an equip that I'm trying to personally reroll right now to a Z equip that I think is really worthwhile for blue regen characters. And I'm over here on legends.dbz.space, and for this, they actually have a calculator that will allow me to determine what the lowest number I'm going to need to get to Z rank is for this guy, or even just an S rank for that matter, which is where the equip already stands. So currently I have inputted the first slot and second slot. Those are the slots I'm going to be keeping. And the middle slot, I'm going to see what I need to get a Z rank equip and decide whether or not it's going to be feasible for me to do that, or if I'm going to have to re-roll both slots to try and get there. So if we start moving up, I'm going to go just to see. I'm currently at 14.5. I'm going to bring it to 16 and see if that gets me any higher. We'll get it to roughly 16, and that's leaving us still at an S rank. So let's move it up a couple more percent and see what we get. Let's move it up to 18. Let's see if what happens when we get this to 18 flat. So 18 flat is going to be a Z rank equip, and as we can see, 18 is actually the lowest it's going to be a gold slot. So we are going to need a gold slot in the middle for this to go to be a Z, but thanks to having a fully perfect roll on the first slot, this may not be too hard of a thing to do. So with that in mind, let's hop back over to the game, and let's try and re-roll this bad boy. So once again, for those of you who use the timestamp just to hop ahead, the one thing I want to mention is the new system seems as though it is trying to reward you for trying to go up to the next rank of equip. So it seems as though if you're trying to reroll an A equip, it's trying to get you to an S rank. If you're trying to reroll an S equip, it's trying to get you to a Z rank, and so on and so forth. It's just trying to reward you for trying to be at the next level. So with that in mind, we did just go over to DBZ Space and we calculated what we're going to need for this middle slot to get it to a Z rank, and we're going to try it out. And I do suggest to everybody that you do pull this all the way up to 10, because what's going to happen is it's going to try and essentially find a higher roll. That's when you're going to get the message of you've found a good slot. Because I know a lot of people have been like, well, I'm re-rolling my A slots, and it's telling me, oh, well, you still have a great equip. And it's like, well, I still have an A equip. It didn't even change rank. But it's better than the slot you had before. It's better than what it was before. And that's all it's looking to do. So we're going to do it all the way up to 10, and we're just going to see if we can get this slot to be better than it was. And we'll see what happens from there, because that's when you want to end the process and stop for a second. Oh, and look, it already happened right out of the gun. We get the message that says you have a strong ability, re-upgrading will stop. Right here, what we want to do, instead of hitting continue, even though it did not hit a Z rank equip, we are going to end the process. and let it process that this is what is the new slot. We want it to process what the new slot is, so that this way, this is the new threshold for the message to come through. You want the message to come back in at this new threshold rather than it maintaining the old 14% that we had. So you do want to end and then keep going. So now it's even higher, and hopefully once again we'll be able to get this to an even better point. So let's see what happens if we're able to get this to a Z. So it does drop all the way down to an A, but that's okay. We still got nine slots to go, and once again it's going to hop up to 60. Actually, it actually hopped up to that first slot we looked at off on DBZ Space, which is kind of funny. But all right, so we'll stop once again there. We've got 11 more rolls, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get it to a Z. And making this as simple as possible, essentially what we are trying to do is, I've said it a few times, but we are trying to increase that threshold for the message to pop up. Essentially what we're doing is we're allowing Legends to think a higher number is going to be a good slot. And this is going to allow for us to get A ranks up to S rank. It's going to allow for S ranks to go up to Z, because it's just going to keep rolling. It's going to keep trying for us to get that message. That's the whole point of the re-upgrade, is it wants it to be better than what it was before. And it's not always going to get there, but it's going to at least keep trying. So if you get that higher number, it's going to allow it to roll itself out, to keep trying to get that message. It's going to allow more chances to hit that. Now, unfortunately, we did end off on a lower note than where we started, and that's going to make this a little bit more tedious. We're going to have to start it over, but that's okay, because hopefully at least those first two rerolls will show that essentially what it's trying to do is it's trying to make that number higher than what it was before. So we just want to try and get it as high as possible to manipulate the game into thinking we want something even better. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Don't forget to leave a like if you did, and I will see you all in the next video. I wish you all the very best of luck with your rolls and hope you have a great weekend. Peace out.